Hi, everybody. It's Craig from Doc Sports, and we're back with Doc's Daily Tuesday group of games that we're going to be looking at today. Some exciting games. We've got 4 conference championships, I believe, maybe even 5 tonight, and then everybody else seems like it's in the first round of games. So we've got some teams that haven't been so great all year. But it's Tuesday, March 11th. So 3/11/25 today, and we've got my cohorts. As always, Nick and Griffin always joining us. But today, of course, Tuesdays is Tony George Day. And Tony, what did you think of Drake winning the Missouri Valley?
Well, first of all, I want to compliment you on that intro music. It sounds like we're selling rejuvenating Epsom salts. Why don't we get some rock and roll going on there, Mr. Trapp? Come on.
Well, we don't own the rights. The problem is we don't own the rights. If you put in that stuff, YouTube will strike the video. So you can't have anything that, we need somebody that is out there that's in a rock band. If you film it, and we'll put it on there.
Yeah, we'll jam it up. Let's go.
Yeah, getting into the Mo Valley tournament, another year, another tournament where I didn't lose any picks in the Mo Valley this year, but I only had 2, and I did bypass the championship game this year because I thought they needed to win it to get into the tournament. And I think Drake was probably already in. And that's a scenario that's going on in a lot of these Power 5 conferences. You worry about somebody's motivation. Auburn's got a number 1 seed locked up. Do they want to go through that gauntlet and kill themselves, then, be dragging into the tournament? I didn't know Drake's motivation there. And Bradley is the only team in the country that is top 5 in 3-point shooting and top 20 in field goal percentage overall. And I was worried about that coming to fruition. And then they couldn't hit a bull in the ass with a handful of rocks when they played them in the championship game. So Drake obviously deserving. I don't think Bradley will get in the tournament, but Drake, as you saw, they rely heavily on Sturts. We talked about that last week. Yep. He was their go-to guy, and a really good Power 5 team is going to defend him, and that's going to take away 80% of their offense.
Yeah, I think Bradley will make a run in the NIT. I think they'll be like Indiana State did last year, where it's like these middle, let's just say them, undervalued conferences that don't get the love. I think they're going to be really good this year because all the big teams are going to be in the tournament this year. I mean, we're going to see a million SEC teams, a million Big 12 teams in the big dance. So I like Bradley. I do think Drake's going to be up against it, but point guards can kind of carry you. So if Sturts has one of those, games, they're going to need some other guys to step up, hit some shots so they can't double them. That's going to be the key. All right, let's start with the NBA so we get that out of the way. So we'll just talk real quick. There's only 3-4 games today, I believe. So, Nick, why don't you kick us off here in the NBA and tell us what you like as a free pick real quick so we can get to tons of college hoops.
Yeah, let's do it. The Milwaukee Bucks -2.5 against the Indiana Pacers here. The total sitting at 234.5. Both of these teams coming off losses in their last game. The Milwaukee Bucks dropped their last one to the Cavaliers on Sunday, while the Pacers lost on the road to my Chicago Bulls. How about that? Bulls getting it done. The Pacers, though, they're back here at home. They're 19-9 at home here. The Bucks on the road, 2 games below 500. I think the Pacers snap their 3-game losing streak here, get back on track. I'm all over the Indiana Pacers. I would sprinkle it on the money line, but to be safe, take the Indiana Pacers +2.5 over the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, Craig.
Yeah, I think we all were on agreement yesterday on the Bulls, and not only did they cover, they won outright. Pacers have what's this, their 4th game in 6 days, and I don't know, Halliburton back tonight? I mean, he's
still game time decision as it listed. Yeah,
he's been out on every one of these, and until he gets back, it's just this Pacers team is not very good. And I believe the Pacers are only 1 game behind Milwaukee for the 4th seed, so this is probably going to be the 4-5 game. And you want to definitely have home court. Both these teams are flawed. So I kind of like the Bucks in this one just because the Pacers haven't been good on rest. I can't imagine them in a back-to-back spot. They do have the home court here, but I'm against you on this. I'm going to take the Bucks. I actually had that written down. So Griffin, what do you like? Anything there? The other 3 games, maybe in the NBA?
Yeah, Craig, absolutely. This game, I mean, it's not exactly your most exciting matchup, but we've got Washington rolling into Detroit to play the Pistons. Pistons laying 14.5 points total, sitting at 235.5. This is a game you don't want to overthink. Detroit, they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They just blasted Portland on the road. Washington, they're on back-to-backs here, and this team has absolutely no depth. They've had no depth all season long. They've squeezed out 15 wins on the season. On top of that, they're heading back from Toronto to now play in Detroit. Washington should be a complete mess in my eyes. I'm laying the points here with Detroit. I think they beat them by at least 20 in this matchup. Current line's 14.5. Lay the wood with Detroit in this one, Craig.
I kind of like that first half in that one because, sometimes these teams, they kill them in the first half, and then they're like, hey, let's try to rest and not, save minutes on some of these guys at this point in the season. And then all of a sudden they win by 12, and you're like, they dominated the entire game just because they're trying to save guys. So I kind of think the first half's a little stronger play just because of that. Like, they kill them 10, 11, 12 points by half. I think we'll get the cover there. Tony George, I know you are the king of college basketball, but anything you like here in the NBA today? A little sprinkle?
Clippers. That's it.
Is that just fading the Pelicans?
Well, yeah, with Williamson out and McCollum out, I know Powell's not playing for LA yet, but they've won a couple. The line's real short at 2.5. Might even go. I think it might go under the 222. Might even be the better play because how's New Orleans going to put up points? And I like the Clippers in this spot for that short a number. If you're worried about the 2.5 and a real low scoring battle,
it's 7 though.
Oh, 7.5. Yeah,
7.5. So
yeah. Well, what's New Orleans going to put up?
Well, they have played under at home 4 straight games. New Orleans,
yeah,
so the defense has finally played under. So I kind of think the under. I have actually it was my premium play today, I believe. I'd lay
the under probably there is a play more than anything. I don't if they had Powell playing, you might want to look at a team total, under if it's over 100. I mean, I just for the Pelicans, but at days in here, I think the Clippers going there, rolling. They're missing 65% of their offense, and they don't have much of a bench.
Well, when they made that trade, like they did, it wasn't like they helped their team immediately.
Right.
But they got something for nothing, basically, because, Brandon Ingram wasn't sticking around and they weren't going to pay him in the offseason. So I do like the trade for the future, but, man, this team is like, I just don't know what the Pelicans, they got to see Anthony Davis and Chris Paul and all these former stars. And then they get Zion thinking he's going to be the next coming to, Tim Duncan. And then he's played basically half the game.
Well, he is the next Anthony Davis. The son of a bitch is hurt every game. He never plays. So yeah,
well, AD when he was there, he was helping. So when he was in New Orleans, he had like the medical marijuana or something going, and he was healthy. When he went to LA, he's like, it's too nice. I need to be at the beach or something. I don't know.
He needs to go down to Bourbon Street and get some of that French Creole voodoo stuff going on.
I think Zion has my weaknesses. Like, he likes to eat and like that's he's kind of, I won't say he's ate himself out of the league, but it hasn't helped him. He was a big guy when he came in, and when you have feet issues and leg issues and you're on the heavy side, or at least they think he's on the heavy side, it has not helped him. So there you go. I like I said, I doubled down. I played the Bucks, same game as Nick. I think the Bucks. I don't know. I'm fading the Pacers. I played them both of the games against Atlanta, and both the games they didn't win. So they're kind of on my do net bet list. So that helped me last night in Chicago. Had a little sprinkle on the money line on that one. All right, let's talk college hoops because it's that time of year. When Tony, I want to start with you. I'm always worried about the round one games, because we're playing the worst teams in the league. That's why they're playing on the opening day. But I also worry when I'm playing championship games, because a lot of these teams have had 3 or 4 games in a row, including Delaware tonight, right? I mean, what a run they've been on. So it worries me because, if Delaware won tonight as an 8-point underdog, because they've been just shooting the heck out of the ball. But at some point that, you're playing a million games, it has to catch up to you. So what is your take on, when we're playing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Do you like playing like the championship games, or are you more like, you don't mind playing the lesser teams in the bigger conferences?
Actually, a combination of both. Now I went against Delaware last night, got my ass handed to me. I thought Townsend's size was going to be a big deal. They were playing their 4th game in 4 days. Now they're playing their 5th game in 5 days in a championship game, against a Morris team that was lost for a lot of that game last night. Had to really, they really had to burn a lot of themselves out coming back in that game to win. And then it was an overtime game. So does that level the playing field in terms of fatigue or not? In Delaware, sometimes you don't want to get in front of that freight train. They're just steamrolling. That team's shooting lights out. They're just knocking down. They just played out of their minds. So I'd rather do the opening rounds instead of the championship games with the lesser teams. And when there's more than 4 or 5 points involved, I like to figure out a way to take an underdog.
I'm with you. And remember, UNC Wilmington was somewhat a pseudo championship game, in my opinion, last night. I thought whoever won that game would probably be big favorite, and they are. College of Charleston had another great year. Mac, the old Louisville and Xavier coach is there. He's kind of kept it going for Pat Kelsey that left to go to Louisville. He's had a great year, but UNC Wilmington has had an even better year. So it would be a good game. I think better than this 8-point line, though. I leaned to Delaware. I gave it out as a free play yesterday on a video. I like Delaware on the points tonight. But I want to get
Well, let me ask you a question. What in the hell? I did this free play, and I guess I'll just talk about it since I've got the floor here for a minute. What in the hell's St. Mary's doing getting 4 tonight?
Yeah, we just talked about that before you logged in. I wanted to make it a premium pick, but I'm like, is there somebody out for St. Mary's? Because St. Mary's, they handled them the first 2 games. And it's tough to beat a team 3 games. I know I hear that a million times, but St. Mary's is a different beast. Like, this team's they're full of grown men.
Well, it's interesting because Griffin and I were at this game last year.
Yep.
Now, this year, I'm going to, matter of fact, I'm heading down, not today because I have to pick a family member up at the airport, but the next 3 days, I'll be down at T-Mobile in Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament. I've got a pass, but
nice.
I tell you what, I've never seen a scenario. They opened at 3, went to 4. It doesn't make any sense, which is why I'm laying it. I'm laying it. I'm not. They're begging. That is like the biggest carrot on the board, biggest sucker bet trap line on the planet. And they made Gonzaga the last time they played early February. They beat them out in Washington. They made Gonzaga look like ass clowns. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even close. Now, the one they won at home was a really tight game, like a 5-6 point win. And plus, they beat them last year in his championship game. Hell, Griff and I watched them warm up, and I told him, I said, get on your phone and start betting it. That big guy for St. Mary's, they're not going to be able to stop this son of a bitch. But anyway, at days in here, I'm going to lay the 4 because it makes no sense. I'm going to go with the public. Really. Every sharp in town is going to be betting big money on St. Mary's tonight, Craig.
Well, I think this could be a good in-game bet where you could take St. Mary's as an underdog plus money line, and then if St. Mary's gets up early, you might be able to flip it the other way and basically get you 30 cents on the dollar easy. Because I could see St. Mary's get out and then Gonzaga reel them back in and win in the end.
Do you want to roll over the money line at the halftime?
Yeah. I think St. Mary's is either going to win outright or get drilled. Like I don't think it's like, hey, we lose by 2 or 3. I just think either St. Mary's grown men will beat them for the 3rd straight time, or Gonzaga, like, hey, remember us? We've been in the championship game every year. Mark, this is an unbelievable stat. Every year Mark Few's been the coach there, which has been almost 2 decades now. He's been in the championship game of this tournament. So he has a lot of success in this tournament. Now, he hasn't won them all the years, but being in the championship game every year. Now, it's not the greatest conference, and they only usually got to win, 1 game, I think, because they get the double bye or whatever.
All they had to do was beat San Fran last night.
Yeah, and, I thought San Fran in the first half, I thought they had something for him, but, Gonzaga just too much in the end. The other championship game, Griffin, I want to get your opinion. I don't know if you have I hope you don't have a premium play. The Horizon League, big win by Youngstown State. First time they've ever been in the championship game. Good game. They play Robert Morris. Robert Morris, first time I think they've been in the championship game in the Horizon League. So great game. I think it'll be a good story because these are both teams that aren't very far from me here. You have any opinion in this game?
No, I'm on the same thing with Tony. Me and Tony were at that game last year, same scenario. And if you think that Mark Few has not forgotten about this matchup, you are absolutely wrong. You know he is going to come in ready to roll and have his boys ready to go. Me and Tony watched the whole game, and I had a 7-unit play on Gonzaga when we watched this game a year back. And it was the same scenario, and the entire time we're watching this damn game, Tony's sitting there saying, they're going to get killed. They're going to get killed. They got beat in the paint so badly, it was ridiculous. And I know that Mark Few is going to have his boys ready to go. This is a huge revenge spot. And I'm not the typical guy who likes to say revenge spot, bounce back game. This is one of those scenarios right now. These are two rivalry teams going head to head here. I love Zaga in this matchup, and I'm laying the 3.5 points with Gonzaga here as a bounce back revenge game. Typically don't like saying it nor doing it, but I think in this one, Zaga is going to get the best of them. As you guys said, who in the right mind would take Zaga in this matchup? Public's going to be all over St. Mary's. Flip the script on them. Take Zaga, lay the wood. That's where I'm at with this one, Craig.
Nick, we got some 2 games today. Cincinnati played early. They played Oklahoma State over the weekend, got beat. They're up 27-20 at half, I believe. And then we have that Colorado and Colorado TCU. TCU. They played over the weekend, and Colorado absolutely hammered them on senior night. Now they play tonight, and guess who's favored? Of course, Colorado's the underdog. So some interesting games. And what do you like as a free play today?
Let's go to Charlotte, North Carolina, ACC tournament. We got California -3.5 here over my Virginia Tech Hokies. Both of these teams, they're coming in this game on 2-game losing streaks here, and both teams struggle on the road. This game is played obviously at a neutral site, but I'm not betting with my heart here, as maroon and orange, it's in my blood. Virginia Tech, that's my alma mater. I played baseball there. Today we're betting with our brains. I like this California team. They're a much better team here. They can't close out games, but tonight, neutral site, I think they get the job done and cover here. I would lay the points with California -3.5 over the Virginia Tech Hokies tonight, Craig.
Well, if you bet against your alma mater, maybe
it hurts. I'm sorry. Maybe
put like a $5,000 wager, and then half of it goes back to your alma mater to help them improve their athletics, because lately not been the greatest for football or basketball.
I know.
So yeah, maybe they need a little Menken money there.
The baseball team's up on a rise, though.
I kind of like a little free play in this Robert Morris and Youngstown State game. I like Youngstown State +3.5. I've seen them play a bunch this year. They're probably about an hour from me. I wish I would have got to go see them in person this year, but I've seen them a bunch on TV. And I've watched Robert Morris a bunch too. Robert Morris won, of course, in overtime. Nice. And Youngstown State kind of came back from, and their best players out. It's just like they're rallied around them. I think Youngstown State's going to win this game tonight, but I'll take the 3.5 points because Horizon League, I mean, I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out game, just like the other 2 games were last night. So a little free play, sprinkle on the money line maybe as well, but Youngstown State +3.5. Tony, we're looking at, we mentioned this game, TCU. We talked about TCU yesterday. TCU and Dixon. Obviously he went back to his alma mater. He had great success at, of course, Pitt. He found success early, but this has not been a great year for him. I won't say this is a must win, but it feels like they just can't get embarrassed like they did this past weekend, right?
Right. Well, when you see Colorado beating them by 20 over the weekend, now TCU's laying a number. So you ask yourself, why the hell's that?
Yep.
I'll tell you why. Because Colorado sucks. They've had 3 conference wins all year long. TCU's had 9, including wins over BYU, Baylor, and 3 weeks ago, Texas frickin' Tech. That's why they're laying 2.5, and it's a quick turnaround. And the other thing, too, is if Colorado is not playing in Boulder, they don't frickin' win. They're 0-10 on the road. Now, I know it's a neutral site, but they're away from home, and that's why TCU's.
I think he's right, though. I'm on that one. I'm fading Colorado. I think they fall short. So I'm sure he'll jump back here in a second. Guys.
Are you there?
Sorry, Tony, we lost you there for a second. But you're definitely playing against Colorado here, right?
Oh, I would. Yeah, they're 0-10 on the road. Yeah, like I said, I'm on. They have 3 conference wins. They suck.
Yeah, terrible, terrible. But I will say, when you're playing in this open round game, it's motivation because usually you're looking at a loss on the next game because you're playing one of the top 2 or 3, 4 seeds, depending on how big your conference is here. And so, like I think there's 2 coaches that need wins or at least to perform well. Arizona State today with Hurley, I think he might be on his way out. I think he's 9 or 10 in a row. And Jamie Dixon here, even though it's his alma mater, I think they'll get a little longer leash. I think both of them just can't get embarrassed today. If they lose, it got to be a little closer. Maybe ASU, maybe they're moving on either way.
Speaking of coaches, look at that short number in that Syracuse and Florida State game. Leonard Hamilton, after 23 years, is walking away. You think they might want to – they played some inspired ball, Florida State did down the stretch, and Syracuse falls under the same category as Colorado. They suck. So I'm wondering if Florida State in that short number there, they play – kind of do that, let's win one more for the Gipper type approach. And, and they might be a little better team than Cuse too.
Well, I think Florida State will probably play for Leonard Hamilton. He seems like a coach is like, his players seem to like him. Although his players from last year are suing him for the NIL. And, they said that he promised them some money. And I think that's probably why he stepped away. He's like, I'm done with this whole NIL and having to pay players and chase them and recruit. Now, you got to recruit players. And you got to recruit their agents now. And then you got to freaking be able to keep them year after year, try to pay them more money. So I think, the ACC has seen a lot of great coaches leave, like more than any other conference. All the great ones have left in the last 3 or 4 years. Duke has found their next coach. Obviously, Shire has done a great job of keeping it rolling. Syracuse, not so much. I hear he is really close. Altry, right, I think is his name. Yeah. That there's a lot of the big money people that are not happy. And so an embarrassment here, he could be on his way out. And I think the ACC is wide open, though. So if you said Florida State wins this game and then, puts a scare into somebody next, I wouldn't doubt it because outside of Duke, I don't think there's anybody in that league that scares me. Clemson's a nice little team, especially at home. But like Louisville, great job by Kelsey. I still just think, what's the kid from Wisconsin that transferred? Chucky Hepburn has had Wisconsin needed to keep him. Imagine if that dude's on Wisconsin. I mean, he's probably going to be the 3rd vote getter for Player of the Year in the ACC this year. That's how good of a year he's had, and Louisville's really taken advantage of a weak league. All right, so we got some SEC tomorrow, Tony. Is there any of the like we said earlier, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, A&M, Florida? These are all teams that I think can make runs in the NCAA tournament. But if you go and have to go through this gauntlet, it's going to take something out of you for the NCAA tournament. Is there maybe they're going to try to save minutes on these big teams this week? So maybe you got to play some of the, middle of the rung teams. Here
I agree. I mean, what does Tennessee and Auburn, even Alabama, have to gain by winning this tournament? Now, Florida, too. You're talking all number 1s or number 2 seeds. Florida, I discussed this on a podcast yesterday, but Florida, in my opinion, at plus 425, I think they were up to plus 370 now to win the tournament. It's a really good bet. They need something good to happen to them. Their football team sucks. Their basketball team has been down. This would be a big win for them. I think Florida. The one thing about Florida is, and you talk about this, you mentioned it earlier, and every analyst on ESPN and Fox and CBS is going to shove this down your freaking throat. Guard play, guard play, guard play. That's what wins in the postseason. I got some news for you. If you want to be successful, everybody's watching this show to figure out how to handicap March Madness, what we're all thinking. Rebounding wins this time of year. And Florida is as good at it as anybody in the country. That was on display against Alabama, who, by the way, is number 3 in the country in rebounding, and Florida out-rebounded them and made them look like clowns 2-1 in that game. That's why they beat them. And if you rebound well, then your guard play falls into place because you are offering your outside shooter second chance points and denying your opponent their second chance points. And when you get the rebound, you're usually kicking it out to the same guy that just missed a shot, and he's standing in the same place and he knocks it down. And Florida is also a team on the defensive end, is when they get those boards, they are getting down the floor quickly, and they got guys that can knock down shots all over the place. I think they're arguably, them and Auburn are 1 and 1A, in my opinion, in the Southeastern Conference. And I don't think Auburn or Tennessee is going to burn themselves out. They got high seeds locked up. I think Florida is going to win this. One sleeper in this tournament, although they sputter down the stretch, would be Missouri.
I kind of like Texas A&M too. I think Buzz Williams is one of those dudes that he wants to win every game. He wants to win, like, you know, like him and Shaka Smart kind of, which is funny that they both were, went through Marquette at a time. But they both, like, it's kind of like the Pete Carroll, like every practice is competitive. And those are the type of games, they ain't giving away tournament games. They're probably not winning the NCAA tournament. But to win an SEC championship at Texas A&M would do recruiting wonders, especially in arguably the best year SEC's ever had. The most ranked teams, potentially 3 number 1 seeds. Probably only going to get 2, and then a ton of number 2 and 3 seeds. So, like, I kind of think A&M. I do like Missouri. They can shoot it from outside, and you get that's all you're going to do. You get 3 games in a row where you shoot 42% from the 3-point line, and you can defend just a little bit, you can win games.
Then how the hell are you toting Texas A&M?
Well,
those guys don't have it. The problem with Texas A&M is they want to get into a wrestling match inside.
Wade Taylor.
They don't have a guy that can hit shit from the outside.
Yeah, Wade Taylor is their key. Like, when he's the man. I mean, he's been one of the best guards in the SEC for 4 years, but because he played at Texas A&M, nobody talks about it. But I mean, that win they had, they beat Auburn, right? That was like a week and a half ago. When they put it all together, that's how good they can be. Now, like you said, they're not a team that's going to probably hit 3 games in a row. But the good thing is when you play defense like they do, you don't have to hit 40% because you get they get tons of offensive rebounds. If you like offensive rebounding teams, it's like Bob Huggins. I love Bob Huggins. Like, that dude likes teams, like, in a phone book, that's how they want to play.
Well, you said, though, and the key to me giving Missouri some props, you said to make a run in this tournament, in this gauntlet. Well, guess what? They play 11 guys. They don't have a superstar. They got 5 starters that any of them can go. And Brell is one of the best he's an NBA player. He's a 3-point shooter. So that at the end of the day, if you're looking for depth to make a run, at least to get into the semis and be catching a bunch of points against a highly ranked team, Missouri's the type of team that can cover numbers and make a run.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, do you have any maybe sleeper in one of these conferences? Like we had talked yesterday with some of these low teams that we're playing today that we in the ACC. Is there maybe an SEC team or ACC or Big 12 or even Big 10, I guess, that you think can maybe make a run as under the radar?
For the SEC, I think it's Auburn's chance to lose. Or not lose, I should say. Auburn will not lose, I believe, until that Final Four spot. I think that after that loss against Alabama, they're going to kick some butt here in the SEC tournament. With the ACC, I kind of like the Clemson Tigers too. They fly under the radar, but if Duke gets a hiccup here, I really like this Clemson team to upset Duke in the championship game. I think that they have a very good chance. It's at a neutral site, and everybody knows that Duke is the number 1 team here in the ACC. So I would lean towards Clemson. I like your pick with the Texas A&M as well to make a run. Buzz Williams, look at what he's done at Marquette. Look at what he did at Virginia Tech, taking the boys to the Sweet 16. Now he's at Texas A&M. He has his players, and he coaches his kids for tournament play. Yep. Each year that Buzz Williams has been at Texas A&M, he has improved in the tournament. the NCAA tournament. And then you saw it last year. I believe they made it to the final in the SEC tournament. So don't be surprised if this Texas A&M team makes a run here in the SEC tournament, Craig.
I think Buzz Williams should have to shave his head for the tournament every year so he could go back to the Marquette days when he didn't have him. Him and Shaka both need to go back to the bald head. I'm like, who has bald head and then grows back their hair? I thought both of them didn't have any hair. It was kind of funny that both of them do that, and they're both kind of the same type of coach. Griffin, Big Ten, it starts up tomorrow. Like Michigan State, obviously, I did not see this coming. I mean, I should have, because Coach Izzo just does this every year. But I still think they're vulnerable. I mean, I've been trying to bet against them all year. I just keep thinking they're going to, not be as good. Is there a team that can beat Michigan State in the tournament?
Well, absolutely, Craig. I mean, it's anybody's game by all means. But I actually wanted to touch up on a game that we have rolling out today in the Big 12, and that's this Kansas State-Arizona State matchup. And you look at this game right now, Craig, Arizona State, they're 1-9 in their last 10 games, and they've dropped 4 straight. Their most recent victory was against Kansas State at Kansas State, and they beat them by 12 points. After that factor, 4 straight losses. They lost to BYU. They played Utah at Utah, and that's never an easy ask. And then they played Arizona at Arizona and put up 100 points against them offensively. I really like this Sun Devils team in this matchup tonight, and getting 6.5 points. I love this play. I think it's a really good dog price. I would take the Arizona State Sun Devils in this matchup, Craig, plus the points in this one.
I always say I like to play teams with the best player on the court. And I think the Kansas State kid, the Hawkins kid, is like that dude is like, he's a pro. I mean, the guy he's a stretch 4 in the league. He can really shoot it. At times, motivation, he doesn't necessarily always play hard. And I think that's why he probably didn't stay at Illinois. That's not kind of Brett Underwood's kind of guy. That guy needs to be good. I think they can win a couple games in this tournament if he plays like we saw him play. I think we beat Kansas, and they beat, was it Arizona, I believe, or BYU? They beat them recently. So, and he beat my Bearcats too in Cincinnati, which Cincinnati at least was pretty good at home this year. So, but I do see Arizona State and Bobby Hurley's playing for his job. So, like, if you can't get up for this, you're never playing. What do you think, Tony?
Well, I'm just going to jump in there because Griff pussied out on the Big Ten. I want to make a couple of comments in the Big Ten. Number one is how good is Michigan State? If they were in the SEC, they'd be a 12-loss team. Yeah. Okay, so let's calm down on the Big Ten. But the team that I think is on the rise there, that's worth a plus 400, maybe plus 390, no matter where the money's at right now, Maryland. They're going to make a run in this tournament. They're playing good ball. I think Maryland. And another team you want to watch out for, Purdue. Purdue needs to make a good showing in this tournament. I think they will. And again, I don't know how motivated Michigan State's going to be. I don't like Michigan, but Wisconsin, if they end up playing UCLA laying less than 3 based on Kim Palm's rating after they get by Minnesota, which they will, I'd be looking to take Wisconsin in that matchup as well, because UCLA didn't play very good away from home. But keep an eye on Maryland in that tournament.
Yeah, the one thing that worries me about Maryland is I don't think they don't like to play half-court games. In an NCAA tournament, you end up playing a lot more, slow-down games, and that's the worry. If Maryland gets into an up-tempo game, they'll win. They can win every game. There's not a team in the league that can score with them up and down. Maybe Wisconsin when they've been really hitting well. But, Michigan State wants to play slower. Michigan wants to play slower. Illinois kind of doesn't really like to play up. So it's like of the top teams, none of them like to play their style. And I think this Maryland team is a team that I think will be good, much better when they play in the NCAA tournament, get away from the Big Ten and that slog it out style. As long as they don't play like a team like Drake or, St. Mary's, like those are the teams that would be a monster mismatch in my opinion. So I do think the Big Ten's had a down year. Yeah. But, we've seen sometimes what we think is down years, they play in the NCAA tournament. All of a sudden you see 4 teams in the Sweet 16 that you kind of didn't expect.
Right.
So, I'm still thinking like the SEC, as great as it was and what we're giving them their flowers all year long, did they just beat each other up all year long? And then they get to NCAA tournament and it's like they don't perform necessarily. Maybe they win a championship, but as far as the overall talent, depth of the league, maybe it's not as good as we thought. We don't know. That's what you don't know when you're just playing each other. like what's going to end up. So let's get a free NHL play before we get out of here, and then we'll get out. We are a few minutes late, but Nick, you got a free NHL play you like for today?
Yeah, like a dog here. We got the Columbus Blue Jackets and the New Jersey Devils, total sitting at 5.5. Both of these teams coming off wins in their last game, but the Columbus Blue Jackets, they come in this game ranked 7th in the NHL in goals per game. In this New Jersey Devils team, they have one of the best defenses here in the league. They're coming in 2nd here. The Devils play their best hockey at home, 15-11, while the Columbus Blue Jackets struggle on the road, 11-18 on the season. They did some really good things at the trade deadline. I absolutely love these Columbus Blue Jackets to get the win on the money line over the New Jersey Devils tonight, Craig.
I always say the week of the NCAA tournament, which we're coming up on it, a week from Thursday. Well, I mean, if you count the play-in games, we're a week from tomorrow. But a week from today. I always say college basketball week of NCAA tournament, that's when I love playing the NBA and the NHL, because for once you actually get, everybody's attention on the NCAA tournament. That's where all the money goes to, that you actually see some value in the NHL and the NBA. So I'm kind of excited about the next week for all sports coming up. And you can get in on all of our sports. Don't forget, you get a free $60 account for new customers. Go to docsports.com/free60. Also, if I didn't do the job at the beginning, I was so excited that Tony George was on to talk college basketball to me. You can get in on the Premium Plus, $19.99 or $49.99. You'll get the Indian Cowboy plus 3 Doc's expert plays every day. Unfortunately, I apologize. I used Towson for you guys yesterday from Tony George, and as he said, it fell short.
Quit tailing me.
I jinxed you yesterday. So there you go. But you can get that. Click the link in the description to get in, and $49.99, and that's for a month. That's like $1,000 value, and you can get a sample of each one of our experts by doing that. So make sure you take advantage of our YouTube Premium Plus. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining in. Thanks for our great panel of guys. Tony will be back next week. And, hey, next week we'll have so much the NCAA tournament talk. I can't wait. And we'll be talking like the next couple of weeks about NIT as well, which I last year cleaned up in the NIT. So I'm excited that NIT will be back here in a week and a half too. So make sure you stay tuned every day, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here at Docs Daily. Hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss out on everything. And hope all your bets are winning ones.